Alrighty. So, one thing you got to know about me as an offensive mind is I hate when you have four guys, maybe five guys here, running the exact same route. It just hurts. So what we're going to see is trips right.
Oh.
Even Nick's hurting here. My kind of catchphrase has always been, don't be easy to defend, and this is easy to defend. You have five guys. None of them are elite receivers at this point, and you can see how Houston here just has no respect for any of the receivers being five spread out. You have five guys basically static, 5 yards downfield, and they're not really going to move. They're not worried about the Chiefs pressing the ball downfield or stretching the field, and it's going to be man coverage basically across the board. Yes, the corner on the bottom of the screen here, he's lined up a little deeper. He's sitting at 7-8 yards, as I would call it, above the hard deck. So you would think he's going to play deeper, but he's going to clamp down on it very quickly. You're going to have all five guys essentially just running little hitches, hoping to pick up 5 yards in a first down. And we're going to see what happens here when we play the clip. No one's going to move from 5 yards downfield. They're going to let them run into them. Mahomes is going to try to throw to the top of the screen to Juju Smith-Schuster. The pass does get batted at the line of scrimmage, but I just don't think this is great play design, and I think it's easy to defend. Nick, what do you think?
Well, yeah. It's,
yeah.
What? I don't like, what is going on here? You have, okay, this is brutal. You have two ends coming at the hashes at the same depth. Like, they're going to run into each other. This isn't mesh either. Like, they're running hard ends and they're going to run into each other. What the heck is this? Then it looks like Worthy is going to pivot back out, but then you have an in at the same level over here. What is this? This is what? I think of double in.
You can basically call it like four different ends with the one receiver that you just pointed out running kind of a bang concept, like an in then bangs back out. But there's no space being created. There's no separation being created. Mahomes is going to take a two-step drop, which is fine if that's what if a hitch is what you want to hit. But then you got to take the pre-snap read and get it out there quickly, which in that case I would say the receiver at the bottom of the screen was probably your right read.
Yeah, and like, I think, again, you would know better than me as an offensive guy, but from a defensive perspective, the best passing offenses have answers. Okay, so what's your answer here? This looks like, it's almost like it looks like a quarters variant, but they're nailing down on routes, so it almost plays out like a two-man just with the corners playing off rather than pressed, right? Like, what's your answer to that with this concept? There isn't one. You just lose.
No.
Right? Like, there's got to be answers within your passing schemes, and there's nothing.
And once again, to kind of go into my offensive philosophy, you have one route that's your rhythm. You can take your 3 steps throw, read, the thing that puts a defender in conflict. And if the rhythm isn't open, you throw the read. So there's your answer. You're under pressure. There's another route for that, which we call the rush. There's an answer if you're under pressure. And this has none of that. There's no answers, like you said. So well put. And if you don't have an answer for basically 2-man with everyone just playing at the sticks, it's not good play design. It's not good concepts. It's not good, Bob. It's not good.
Well, speaking of bad play design, Dave, here's bad play design number 2 for you.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to have Travis Kelce here, Mr. Swift here, moving in motion to a trips tight end look. Now, what you're going to see is Travis Kelce is going to run a deep over type of concept, and not once does he start to look for the ball until he's about 20 yards downfield. He's spending most of his time looking to dodge defenders and find open space. The one other receiver who's running a route is Xavier Worthy, who started at the bottom of the screen. You can see on the 40 deep downfield, and he just ran a quick fade, or ran a fade route, excuse me. And your running back who you play action with, Pacheco, who's going to run a little swing. You have 2 tight ends who are going to be sitting if we go to the very top of the play. You have 2 tight ends as well, so a trips tight end set. They're going to end up pass blocking for a few counts, before releasing. Now, this is the thing that we see with Houston pretty much all game, is they don't respect the receivers enough to get caught up in all the kerfuffle that's going on downfield. So they just kind of sit back, relax, and they're very well coached, obviously, with D'Amico Ryans. And they can just sit there, chill, and they wait for the play to develop, let these guys release, and they get picked up right away. Interesting design, too, is as we watch this unfold, is the center's going to end up taking the edge coming off of those two tight ends, which I think is an interesting choice, to say the least. But Mahomes doing what he does, he kind of wills his way into a first down, finds some open space, steps up and scrambles through, picks up a first down. But I just think that this is uncreative play design, and you're just trying to force yourself to guys getting open with two guys delayed release routes after pass protecting. I feel like that should be an answer
and like
late in the play, not something that you've designed from it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like it looks like they're running Mills here, right? With Worthy running the deep post, and then Travis with the crosser. I always find this play works better from under center with the quarterback with his back turned completely if you're going to go play fake. Yeah, but it's really easy for them to... And hold on. They're also in one high here, so this is more of a two high beater. Yeah,
Middle of the field closed.
I agree with what you said.
Linebackers are able to easily pick up and find Kelsey in the middle of the field all by himself. And again, we've talked about where are the answers, who's getting put in conflict here, and I would say no one's in conflict. You're hoping that and I'll get into this in later clips, you're hoping that Kelsey is fast enough and athletic enough to run away from guys and find space and have Mahomes find him as well. And I just don't think he's that player anymore.
Yeah, that's really fair. He's more of like a zone guy, like find the vacated area.
Find the vacated area, 5 to 10 yards downfield and sit in it for quick stuff. Okay, so we're going to go into bad run design. You think the run game was safe? Absolutely not. Here we are. So this is kind of the Chiefs' base run. They determine a strong side by putting the tight end on the left. I prefer to do that as well to make sure not just go 2 by 2. I want to dictate that there is a strong side and react to how the defense calls it. Now, we talked about how the defense just hasn't respected the Chiefs receivers at all. Wait, what did I say? Houston hasn't respected the Chiefs receivers at all. And I think this is a perfect example as to why. So you can see Travis Kelsey on the left side of the formation lined up as a tight end. Pacheco's obviously in the backfield. So you got 3 receivers out there somewhere, right? So instead of switching into a nickel coverage, having 2 linebackers in, they're staying in their 4-3, their base 4-3, and just bringing the safety down because they don't feel threatened by any of these receivers. Now, what we're going to see is we're going to see an inside zone to the right side, right? And if you just look at the numbers, you can keep it paused. I don't want the play to get moving yet. Now, if you just look at the numbers, the wisdom that I was taught is if you draw a line from the center up, anything on the right, you will count. So you will count 2 offensive linemen to 3 defensive players. That's bad numbers. That's really tough to make that work. And if anything on the left, you would count that as well. So you got 3 on 3 basically. Slightly better numbers there. So it's already going to be tough for you to make an inside zone here work. Just in general, just numbers wise. So now as we watch the play go, we're going to see some not great things. Yeah. So straight up, we're going to see the right guard just completely lose his block. I believe that this is supposed to actually be an outside zone between the guard and the tackle is where they want this play to go. But the right guard just gets pushed right back. Linebacker or defensive lineman, excuse me, is able to keep his leverage with one arm, push him back, and is able to make a play on the ball carrier. What we've also seen is the linebacker number 45, I want to say. He's able to easily spill the play back inside and let number 0 make the play. And the one part of this that I really don't like, and we saw this with the Ravens, is the left tackle and left guard are going to reach to that defensive tackle. And that's a very tough block for the left tackle to maintain, especially if he's going to be lining up as a one tech here. So the one tech would be in between the center and the guard. You're asking him to reach, double team, and then let the left guard go next level. What ends up happening is the left tackle just kind of eats shit, falls down, and the defensive tackle can make a play on Pacheco. It's just not a great recipe for success. You don't have the numbers, you're asking for hard blocks, and the play ends up going absolutely nowhere, which is not a surprise to me at all. What do you think, D-Boy?
Yeah, and like this 3 tech stunts inside. Yeah, like I don't know. No, I think you're right. This you could call him a 4 eyes more on the tackle. He stunts inside into the A gap, and then Humphrey breaks off of him too quickly. I don't know the blocking rules or what they're attempting to run here, but like this is poor leverage if we're trying to go this way, right? So he's got to stay on and not get to the backer. But yeah, no, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Run game is all about numbers, and yeah, you're right. Here we go. Not good. 3 against 3.
3 against 2, because I'm not counting the center
back
as a person. Oh, I get
okay.
you're counting the back.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Not great. Okay. Oh, more bad run design. Here we go.
So this goes right from this play. So if that was kind of that weak side zone play was their base run for this game against the Texans, typically you'll have a play that looks exactly like it, but you'll build off of, right? So that's good offensive concept. So we're going to have the same kind of thing. Kelsey's not on the line yet. Give it a minute. He's going to motion in. There he is. And they're going to run a very similar thing. It's going to be an inside zone to our left. The offense is right. But we're going to have a couple of pullers to get those numbers. So once again, if we look to the play side, we're not counting the center, but we have 2 offensive linemen on 2 defensive linemen and a linebacker. Those are bad numbers. We're going to see Kelsey pull, and I believe we're going to see the left tackle pull as well. And Mahomes is going to try and hold, the backside of the line with a little zone read action. But what ends up happening is no one is going to get enough push to open up a hole. Pacheco kind of I don't want to say gives up on the play, but he basically just heads more north and south rather than finding a actual hole to break a big play. So the left tackle is going to basically trap block the defensive end on our left. So he's going to run, or it might be the left guard, Regardless, he's going to run hard around behind the line of scrimmage and try and trap block this end. Now, if you're running full steam ahead against this guy, you're hoping that you're going to get a real good pop and be able to drive him completely out of the way of your running back. Same thing kind of goes for Kelsey here, number 87, who's going to come around and lead block through the hole on 45. Just absolutely no push. You're running pretty much full steam ahead, but that linebacker fills that hole, and there's just nowhere for Pacheco to go. And there's no real double teams that happen to help any of these guys open up a hole. We see the right guard just go completely second level and miss on his guy. And if even your counter plays for your base plays when they're not working don't work, then you're in a really tough world to try and get anything going from your offense, from your run game.
Yeah, like such a big aspect of this, right, is getting the wash down with your down wall, and they just don't get it at all. There's no movement. And when like a defensive end is just stonewalling your guard who probably has like 50 pounds on him, it's not a recipe for success, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely not.
More good stuff here.
More good stuff. So what we're going to see is one of my bread and butter plays as an offensive mind, and that's called a dagger concept. Now, I know this is a very new thing for you old school head coaches, so I'm going to break it down very easily for you. So what we're going to have, that's a bit of an inside joke between me and Nick, I'm sorry. So what we're going to have is this number one receiver, or the bottom receiver here. He's going to run about a 15-yard in route, so he's going to break past the 40, run and in at about the 45, 30, or excuse me, the 35-yard line. We're going to have the number two receiver, as you can see, pretty much right next to him. He's going to be running a seam just deep downfield, and the middle of the field was closed. As you can see, the safety is kind of over top there. That's going to be a really tough read. And then you're going to have the third receiver there, who's just at the top there, running a deep over crosser. Okay? So breaking down my offensive mind and my offensive scheme is you're going to rhythm read the seam route. So Mahomes is going to take a 3-step drop and decide if that seam route's going to be open. Now pre-snap, which we'll be able to see here, is that the middle of the, we're going to call it the middle of the field closed, because you're going to have a safety over top here. Nick's highlighting him with the mouse. Middle of the field is closed, so we already know that's probably not going to be an option unless he moves. So in that case, we're going to take our 5-step, reset our feet, and we're going to try to throw the probably throw the dig or the deep over that's going to happen. Now, if we look on the right, kind of the righter side of the offensive formation, we're going to have a lot of guys in tight, and post-snap movement isn't going to happen. The corner up top is just going to sit there with Kelsey, who's going to end up pass protecting, I believe.
And then
the deep, and he's not going to drop. And that deep over is so open, it kills me inside. Now, if we watch his footwork on his 5th step, that ball, and I'm sure Nick can count it and pause it there. On his 5th step, that ball needs to be driven and thrown on a dot, and it's a touchdown. So if we quickly watch this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. Nick, you've played QB for most of your life as well. How watered is your mouth at this point?
Well, you see, here's the issue with me is I'm 5'8", so I don't know if I'm seeing over the line to throw this deep over unless I'm out of the pocket. But
let's pretend you're Mahomes and say you're 6'2".
Sure, I could probably see
right.
this.
But what happens is Mahomes gets his eyes down. He sees his right guard is losing the battle, ends up trying to make a move and do the slippery Mahomes things that Chris Collinsworth gets super excited about. It doesn't work out for him. He ends up getting a sack. But this is the kind of execution you expect out of the quote-unquote best QB in the league, is you need these gimme plays to move the ball, and you have a touchdown here. And it's not like it was a tight window or something that you needed to develop or were too late on. You had ample time and opportunity to throw this ball, but for whatever reason, he either reads it improperly, gets skittish after seeing his right guard get beat, or I honestly don't know. But this is the type of thing you need to hit.
Yep, that doesn't seem to happen very often with him, that's for sure.
Finally, a well-designed play, and Mahomes doesn't do it. Alrighty, so here... So this is actually, again, decent play design, but very poor execution. So last one, again, poor execution on Mahomes' part. This is going to be poor execution on the receiver's part. So at the top here, we have 3 receivers. The number 3 receiver, Kelsey, he's going to end up running a kind of a slot fade. So he's going to try and take these defenders deep, put all 3 of these guys, hopefully, in conflict, which I like. But then the receivers 1 and 2 at the top are going to basically run a quick spacing concept. They're going to peek inside, find the inside zone, sit down in it. They only need 5-ish yards to pick up a first down here. So it should be an easy rhythm read for Mahomes. We're going to have our quote-unquote running back, who's actually Xavier Worthy in the backfield. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. But he's going to run a little flare to the right as well. Now, it's going to end up working on the play side, but if we're looking at a pre-snap pre-snap read, excuse me. We got some bad numbers here. We have 4 defenders on 3 receivers. Maybe a guy carries with Worthy. So it's not great numbers, but what Mahomes is going to look at is Noah Gray at the bottom of the screen here. We kind of have, he's going to run a slant route. Middle of the field looks pretty open, especially short there. We just need him to get a half decent release. But what we're going to see a lot of later as well is his release off the line is going to just be running into the defender, trying to push him off, run block him downfield, and then shuck him and turn his head. And that's really tough to do to then make the catch. So if we see the play, we're going to send Worthy in motion. Just collides into the defender, runs the slant, and it's tough to get your head around. Mahomes has to get rid of that ball quick, as he should. And the ball just goes right through Noah Gray's hands, and it's a drop.
Yeah, that's on the money.
That is on the money. Now, I don't know if they're being coached to go into collision for releases. We're not in the room where it happens, but I would be avoiding this kind of release collision type thing like the plague, if I'm being honest.
Is it maybe because he's matched up against a corner and he's a big tight end, Dave? Or
yeah, you could be playing that angle. I just think it's really tough to be physically engaged here, turn your head around, and then make another physical play and catching the ball. I think only the great tight ends can do that, and I'm sorry, Noah Gray, you are not one of them. And you just kind of proved it here.
Solid, not great. Solid, not great.
Not great on third down. Alrighty, so what we got here, I believe we are on...
This is the man coverage with
Juju Runaway is what I have here.
yeah, Juju.
So we talked a little, or we at least touched on running a mesh concept. So we have 2x2, already not my favorite formation, but it's fine. We're going to have Travis Kelce, the slot receiver, on the line of scrimmage on the top of the screen, on the left side of the formation. And you're going to have Juju Smith-Schuster, the slot receiver, at the bottom of the screen, also on the line of scrimmage. So a little mesh concept we're going to see here is Kelce is going to go under, Smith's going to go over. Hopefully there's some collision or some picks that are set. Mahomes just has to sit there and find which guy gets open. Now, unfortunately, what happens here is they play man coverage, and you're looking at a receiver who needs to basically run away from that defender. And Juju Smith-Schuster just can't do it anymore. No picks get set. I think you're hoping that a pick gets set for Kelce. That just doesn't happen here. And you're asking Schuster to run away from this corner in man coverage. And Houston played a lot of man coverage this game because they just don't respect the idea that these receivers can get open or create separation on these guys. So they run this little levels mesh. Schuster can't get away from the defender. I'm not sure that I like this throw even. The safety is just sitting there, waiting, pops him in the back, ball comes up, interception. Now, if you have a Tyreek Hill here 3-ish years ago, I think he probably runs away from this defender and is able to pick up 20 some odd yards. But a guy a little long in the tooth near the end of his career, I don't think can do that. And a little side point to this play as well is you're going to have Xavier Worthy, who is touted as this explosive athlete out of college, running a fade route on Lassiter, who Nick is now a huge fan of. He's going to run a fade on Lassiter. Now, if we're looking pre-snap, I like throwing this fade route to Worthy. You have a defender in.
Yeah, one high.
Yep, you have one high. You have a guy on press coverage, and you have your best receiver athlete on the outside there. I think Lassiter does a really great job of covering this. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that the back shoulder's open. I don't think that putting air on it is open. But I think that might be worth a better throw than this. At the very least, you can throw it away over Worthy's head if it doesn't work out for you.
You know what I would like to see here too,
What's
Dave? And like, again, not an offensive guy, but just from like a challenging and putting players in conflict type deal. Um, Something to put him in conflict too, right? You have kind of this Sid and then the crosser, like we talked about. Why not have like a nice deep post here? So if the safety does break really hard on this crosser, you can throw a one-on-one over his head or something like that.
Yep, I would agree. I love putting more, and in my terminology, we would call that the release route, the route that would be get open and be a big play. But as we kind of talked about, there just doesn't seem to be too many answers built into this offense. And it's predicated a lot more on guys being able to create their own separation and run away from defenders. And they don't have the horses for that anymore. And they seem to want to die on this hill. And we're going to see this in the next clip as well. Right. Now we're going to be looking at, we want Kelsey to run away from somebody. So Kelsey is the inline tight end at the top of the screen. He's going to be running a deep over route. The tight end on the right side, Noah Gray, who just came in motion, he's going to end up blocking the defensive end while the rest of the line slides to the left to try to sell the run action. And we're basically going to have a couple routes going deep on the bottom of the screen here. I think the primary read is Kelsey coming over the middle and or the comeback route from Xavier Worthy. But as we've touched on before, Houston does not respect the receivers, don't really respect the running game. There's no reason to keep backing up and backing away. We can just play man coverage. We know they're not going to get separation on our guys. We're going to have the outside linebacker once he sees that who's manned up on Noah Gray. Once he sees that Noah Gray is occupied in pass pro, he's just going to beeline it completely straight to Mahomes and make that a really tough throw for Mahomes, who is just going to stiff arm and will his way into this being. This is the wrong play. Sorry, that's going to be the next play. But you're really putting it on Mahomes to try and make this throw. And if Kelsey isn't going to get any separation, if Worthy doesn't get open on his comeback, and just straight up cover one man coverage is going to stop this offense, it's going to be a tough way to move the ball.
Yeah, I don't really.
No one's in conflict. And there's no answer.
Sliding the line this way to boot this way when you're not going to do like an actual like naked fake. You know what I mean? When like the whole line slides this way and you're trying to take advantage of Will Anderson's aggressiveness. I don't, because like if you were to do that, he would have to chip after, right, and go to the flat. Mm-hmm. So then this guy's in conflict, right? But yeah, I just don't like the protection aspect of this either, actually.
The only guy who seems to be in conflict here is Noah Gray. Okay. Is the last one?
Pass pro.
Yeah, so a lot of flack has been put on the Chiefs' offensive line because I think they're just afraid to badger their boy, Mahomes, who's won them some Super Bowls. But I think the offensive line problems are very overstated. And I think that where we find the problem with the offensive line is that the receivers aren't getting open, the clock is running out, and Mahomes is making it really tough on them to block for him. And we're going to see it here. We're going to see another mesh concept, which I think is going to be very poorly designed and very poorly run. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes gets sacked. But what we're basically going to see here is the receiver at the top and the third receiver slot at the bottom are going to both be running an under for that mesh. So typically with a mesh, there's going to be levels to set the picks. So there's got to be one guy going over, one guy going under. Otherwise, you're just going to run into each other. And that's exactly what kind of happens here. is now they're just looking to not collide with each other, let alone let the defenders do it. It doesn't help either that the guy who's running the true over, Kelsey, ends up in collision, falling down, and I think he was probably going to be open on this play. But I think despite this play going absolutely to shit, I believe the pass coverage actually, or pass protection, actually holds up here. He has a decent pocket to sit in if he wants to sit and play and find something hopefully downfield later. But instead, he tries to escape, makes it tougher for his left tackle to try and, or his right guard, to try and hold that block. And he ends up having to stiff arm his way out, try and look like the Mahomes of old. He ends up throwing a complete pass to Smith-Schuster across his body for a 0-yard gain. And I think, again, that's where you might find some issues as well, throwing across your body and into a dead play. I think that's just going to be asking for trouble rather than just throwing it away. But I think some of these pass protection woes are self-inflicted with poor route concepts, poor play design, poor play execution, and then a QB who thinks that he can still one-man his way through an entire defense and make a big play. Which, to be fair, he built his career doing.
Yeah, that does not look like the Chiefs of old with the lots of innovative designs and utilizing their player strengths really well. I wonder if Eric Bieniemy leaving has something to do with that. It feels like the last couple of years without him, they have not been as innovative on that side of the ball. So I wonder how much he contributed to that. And I wonder how much Matt Nagy being the OC contributes to that. But only time will tell for them, Dave. Hopefully they, for Chiefs fans' sakes, they can figure it out in the offseason, and Patrick Mahomes will have a lot of mental work to be able to do. He won't have, and well, physical for that matter, but he won't be able to really throw the ball. He'll be healing his ACL. So hopefully he is back for the start of next season, because even if you hate the Chiefs, he is good for the league. He is, I think, at worst, no, I still think he's the best quarterback in the league. Josh Allen's playing pretty damn good right now.
Drake, May.
He is not there yet. Patriots fan, but it is good for the league for Mahomes to be playing, so I really hope he is ready to go and can get back to that high level right from the get-go next year.